We still rockin'. Myself, known as Queen of the Den, alongside baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm. Holding the Lions Den down every night, same time. 7 Pacific to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Holding the conversations down with raw topics. Yes, indeed, different topics. Dealing with our black community. From street politics and corrupt politicians. Bringing out the real facts and holding nothing back. Baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm. Uncover the truth, expose the lies, and keep it real. No disguise. We still rockin'. Ain't no stopping us, keeping it real. No apologies, Queen of the Den, Dark Storm. The dynamic duo, bringing the heat, no cool down. We talking social justice, racism, inequality, and the struggles of the streets. We're keeping it real, no sugarcoating. Just the raw truth. From the streets to the suites, we're watching, we're listening, and we're speaking out. Corrupt politicians, take a seat, we're taking back the power. Baby Hebrew, Dark Storm. The voice of the voiceless and Queen off feeding, the truth teller. We on a mission to inform, educate, and empower. No censorship, no fear, just the truth, and we're sticking to it. We still rocking, keeping it real. No fake news, no propaganda, just the truth, and we're sticking to it. So listen up, world. Queen of the End, Dark Storm are taking over, and we ain't going nowhere. The revolution's here, and it's real. The system's broken, but we're fixing it, piece by piece, brick by brick. Queen of the Den, Dark Storm, bringing the light to the dark, speaking truth to power, and empowering the people. We're not just talking, we're acting, we're moving, we're shaking things up. From protests to politics, we on the front line, fighting for justice, equality, and what's right. Baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm. The pen is mightier than the sword, and LA has got the mic. We're a force to be reckoned with. We won't be silenced, we won't be stopped. We still rocking, we still rising, we're still standing, and we ain't going nowhere. The people united will never be defeated, and we're taking back our power, our voice, our community. The struggle's real, but so are we. LA Heifer and Dark Storm, bringing the fire, burning down the barriers and building something new. We're talking community empowerment, economic justice, and social change. We're not just talking about the problems, we're talking about the solutions. From education to entrepreneurship, we're paving the way, creating opportunities and lifting each other up. Baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm, the visionary and the layer for the motivator. We're a team and we're unstoppable. We're taking back our narrative, our history, and our future. We still rocking, we still pushing, we still rising, and we ain't going nowhere. The movement's growing, and you're part of it. What's your role in the revolution? The future's ours, and it's looking bright. They Heifer and Dark Storm, passing the torch, empowering the next generation, and keeping it real. We're not just artists, we're activists, thinkers, and doers. We're the voice of the voiceless and the change makers. From the Lions Den to the world stage, we're taking our message, our music, and our movement global. Baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm. The legacy continues in the Heifer, the trailblazer. We're just getting started, still rocking, and we ain't going nowhere. It's not just about us, it's about the community, the people, and the power. We're in this together, and together we'll make a difference. The story's far from over, it's just getting hotter. In the Heifer and Dark Storm, still holding down the fort, still keeping it real, still rocking the mind. We're not just rappers, we're storytellers, truth tellers, and revolutionaries. From the streets to the top, we're paving the way, breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. Baby Hebrew, aka Dark Storm, the lyrical genius, and the Heifer, the mastermind. We're a force, and we're unstoppable. We're still rocking, still pushing limits, still changing the game. The music's just the beginning, the movement's the key. We're just getting started, and it's gonna be epic. The final chapter, the last word, the ultimate truth. The Heifer and Dark Storm signing off, but the message lives on. We're not just artists, we're activists, thinkers, and doers. We're the voice of the voiceless and the change makers. From the lion's den to the world stage, we made our mark, baby Hebrew, aka Dark Stone. The legend and the layup, the icon, but the real deal. We still rockin', and we ain't going nowhere. The music.
Indeed, we are still rocking. Okay. And seventh answer, you got me inspired. I just got through doing a workout and the whole nine, so I'm definitely trying to get that image back. For real, looking at that, you got me all inspired. And ladies and gentlemen, without no hesitation, you are now tuned into the Lion's Den, the segment title, The Conversation Continues, and we are your host. We have the one and only, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, and I am your brother and your friend, your servant, Dark Storm. And as always, we give honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And we want to thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher as you're now tuned into the Lion's Den, the seventh, again with the seventh answer at the helm, because from city to city and state to state without no foul or bleep, bloops, or blunders, the Lion's Den with the seventh answer, Lady Karima at the helm, you will be experiencing all types of miracles and wonders. Miracles and wonders, of course. And of course, you're now tuned into the grand ultimate, truthality, listening experience, and experiment. And like the late Aretha Franklin and Curtis Mayfield, we're giving you something that you can feel. And that is the three formulations from a biblical standpoint. That is the foundation that makes the Lion's Den stand strong and firm in any kinds of afflictions and affirmities we have to face day to day. And that is Isaiah the 41st chapter, verse 21 to 24, which tells us what? To be ready to produce our cause and bring forth all types of bodies of evidence, facts, and configurations that always bring about the truth. Okay, period. And that's what we do. We also follow the formulation of 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, at verse 21, which tells us to always be ready, willing, and able to prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. And the seventh answer and myself, we are strong proponents and advocates and propagators of freedom of speech, but responsible speech. And what's the number one rule, law, edict that governs the freedom to speak? You must think before you speak. Give careful consideration of what you say before you say it. And of course, I want to welcome, I'm not finished my spiel, but of course I want to welcome a brother who's been trying to get up here back in here and converse with us, Smashing Idol, who's on standby. All right. We're going to get it in for you all, but let me continue on, and I'm about to close it up. So Proverbs 13:3, with a good Lord, I know some of you out there don't believe in the Bible, but still, we have to put our belief first. All right. And no disrespect to anybody else, but Proverbs 13:3, with a good Lord says what? He or she that keepeth his mouth, keepeth his life. What the good Lord established on the issue of freedom of speech is that you better think before you speak. You better give careful consideration of what you say before you say it. Because there's also that thing called abuse of speech. The abuse of speaking incorrectly. Because I know here in America, this Constitution has a lot of you out there thinking that in freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want to say. No, you can't say whatever you want to say. Because you say the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time, and though we don't advocate violence here, the reality is you might get yourself hurt. Seriously. And when you roll with the lions and the lioness, you're rolling with what? The pride. because we're always permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. We don't walk, that is the seventh answer myself, we don't walk as Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. We have our shortcomings in the flesh. We battle day in and day out. But when you come here to this great forum, you hear how we always rise to our grand godly self in both the masculine and feminine form. And you know also that we're part of the what? The anti-coon movement. And what's a coon? C-O-O-N. A complete, obedient, obvious, yes, a boss, nigger. We don't do that here. There's no Stephen from Django. There ain't no Kizzy. There is no bedwenching. There's no buck dancing or sambo in here. No. Why? Because we can't be bought, and more importantly, we won't be sold. And this is also the home of point, counterpoint. Now, there's that 95% that the seventh answer and I and many people who come here as guests, we may see eye to eye on, but it's always that 5%. Always that 5% that, yeah, we may have to go into point, counterpoint, which is another way of saying debate, but it's done in love. It's done in love. And it's always understanding that this is not about ego. All right. It's about making sure that everything is on point for you, the listeners. All right. And that's a good thing, because it's still okay to respect differing opinions at the start and end of every day. And on that note, what makes Alliance then also unique is it's here. That Lady Karima, the seventh answer, she offers a vast and different array of different ideals, beliefs, where you can get a well-rounded understanding of what people are thinking, what they're feeling, from science, math, logic, politics, whatever. You can find that being discussed here in the Lion's Den. Truly a wonderful, wonderful social media format. Think about that for a second. Many social media formats out here are big brother and big media owned, and they have to go by a dogmatic and autocratic beliefs and everything else, and they straight are paid to lie to you. But here, you're not going to get any lies, no fluff, because we don't have any sponsors breathing down our backs telling us what we can and cannot say. Which again makes this a wonderful truthality listening experience and experiment. Now, we understand that you got a lot of haters out there who can't handle the facts that we bring. And what are the facts that we bring? That's frequently accurate, correct truths. To all our haters out there, happy Haters Day, happy Haters Evening, whatever time zone you in. To all our haters, thank you, welcome. Thank you, and you're quite welcome in joining us. You inspire us. And understand this, haters. We didn't like you yesterday. We don't like you right now. How you feel about us is how we feel about you. Because see, St. John 3:19 in the Bible tells us that there are a great many people out here who hate the truth and hate the light because their deeds are evil. But see, we don't care about that. We don't make evil our friend. We don't make the devil our friend. And, oh yes, also, when you join the seventh answer, Lady Karima and myself, you're being hit with Virgo energy. Virgo energy, that's right. Because we're tactical, practical, political, critical, but we always strive to never be hypocritical. And you know something? I know it may sound pretty harsh when we come the way we just laid down how we feel about our haters, but see, the seventh answer, she subscribes to the mindset of Conan the Barbarian because she goes by the communication of steel. And what's the communication of steel when we rock out here? Oh, she will crush our enemies, show no mercy, and listen to the boo-hoo crying of all the haters, kooks, and crazies she kicks up out of here. That's just a thought. And it's a mantra. All right? And we're always sympathetic to all our people out there who can't deal with the truth, but yet you still come here. Somehow you still come here thinking we're going to talk about fluff. We're going to be silly. We're going to deal with big booties of other foolishness. I know you always hope that we go that route, but nope. And if you can't handle what we're about to talk about tonight and going forward, the seventh answer and I, we always extend our deepest sympathies and empathies to you because we're not going to compromise it for nobody, ever. So you can scram, skedaddle, beat it, leave at any given time. And let me assure you, my Negro or my Negress, or whatever ethnic tribe you go by, once you leave, you will not be missed. And last but certainly not least, the house rule set by one of our other beautiful family members, I Am Manning, some time ago. Please understand that when you come into the lion's den, you will wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself. Why? Because the seventh answer, if you get out of line, you come here on the comment section, or we allow you to come here on the panel and talk, and you get out of line. At any given time, she will break you down with the quickness, work you out like physical fitness, hit you with so many get up out of here so fast, so quick, not even Jehovah will be able to witness that. And that's real talk. Because the lion's den, we hunt, we pray, and we discombobulate all enemies of the Lord in Christ, spiritually and intellectually and emotionally. And so with all that out the way, let's get it in, y'all. Oh, the conversation continues. Last night, we went deep into this so-called truce that your president, Donald John Trump, and Pete Hegseth, the head of the Department of War, had set forth with Iran after that whole John Wayne hoopla of if Iran didn't give in to America's demands and commands by 8 o'clock, that they were going to be wiped out of civilization. Well, all that went to pot. But then we had a truce be set in. But it hasn't even been 24 hours. And Israel, sneaky Israel, just had to go and hit Lebanon, Kuwait, Beirut, and Gaza, who were also included on the no hit and no fire zone. But Israel and America now are saying, well, we didn't have that in place. They weren't supposed to be there. They weren't on our no-hit zone. Lying. And now, as we are conversing in real time, Iran is going blitzkrieg and giving Israel all kinds of business and are hurting. And Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, who thought they were out the water and in the safety zone, and they were looking for a way to exit this miscalculated war, we are now in the beginning throes of World War III. Make no mistake about it. We told you last night that truce wasn't going to stand, because you know why? We know how this machine work. We know how this beast works. But you've heard our opinion on the issue. So what I'm going to do now that we set the stage and we have Smash and Idol on standby patiently, and anyone else who wants to get in on this conversation, you're more than welcome to join. Smash and Idol, we're talking about the double cross, the lechery and the treachery of America and Israel on Iran, and now Iran is knocking Israel all kinds of out the park. What's on your mind as the conversation continues about this issue, brother?
Yeah. Hey, first and foremost, before I start this off, I'm going to say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh and Yahweh alone forever and ever by saying Kali Adai, Wa Kabawad, Wa Hawad, La Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Akkad, Wa Aida Walam. Yeah, man. First off, I'm pretty sure by now people don't expect the Lions Den to come with any comfortability, if that's a word, or participate in the theater of temporary peace. We stand in the Lions Den of diplomacy, but the history written in Tanakh teaches us and searches in our heart and tells us that a covenant cannot be made through deception. Therefore, it's no covenant. We're looking at a guy who the last time y'all heard me on the Lions Den, I kind of explained, this guy, DJT, he's running rampant. You know what I mean? And then we got old Amalek. Oh, man. This guy dwelling in the tents of Shem. This person don't know peace when you see it. You could never go into any type of scriptures to find out where does this person, Amalek, or his descendants seek peace. And we go even further and we see who they actually are against. But let's not get something misconstrued, right? These people and the things that they are doing to the Iranians, this is just like the modern day version of what they did to our people in the first place. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, if you tune into the Lions Den and you don't interpret the scriptures as real, then just let that pass. But for those who do, hey, just stay tuned, man. We gonna break this down and we gonna see what's going on. And when you speak of a ceasefire, as if like the absence of noise equals the presence of justice, it's like, come on, man. You can write something on a piece of paper all you want, but your reputation is always going to precede you. So if we know that when we sign this, it's a possibility that you're going to go against it, then when we react to whatever you do, it shouldn't be a problem. That's it, baby Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Lions Den. Shout out to Sister Karima, a.k.a. La Heifer, Dark Storm, and Black Beauty. You know what I mean? We in this mug. I don't know. I guess I'm still smashing night. I don't got a midnight name yet, but I'm going to come up with one, I guess. Shalom.
It's all right, brother. But look, I'm going to say this to you. Because we know this enemy and we come from the biblical train, even if we do have our incremental differences, we still have the basic understanding from a historical standpoint, the methodology of this enemy and how they operate, why they operate the way they do. And when it all comes down to it, man, we're dealing with people who are just insatiably greedy. All right? Just insatiably greedy. And now Israel, I'm going to say, they're suicidal. These Israelis are completely suicidal, and they're driven now on a bloodthirsty and power-mongering quest. And before someone will come in, oh, there they go, they're anti-Semitic. First of all, be quiet, because we're Shemitic. It's not Semite, it's Shemite, Sham. We can't be anti-Semite if you want to if you want to go there. We can't be anti-Semite when we're Semitic. So kill that noise. We're going to get that out the way right now. For all the crybabies who feel some kind of way when we start bringing out the facts on who's doing what. Look, this was dead wrong what they did. Your word, as we all know, out there in Lions Den land, we've all heard this sentiment. Your word is supposed to be your bond. Now here it is. It's bad enough that America was getting their behinds kicked in the first place. We're not going to pretend that 700 soldiers now, the real reports are coming out, 700 troops here in America are dead and gone, with others, with thousands injured behind this war. But see, we said from the beginning, and you've been hearing it all your life, every last one of us out here, nothing constructed in evil is going to be successful. And see, for all our Caucasian persuasion listeners out there, you tune into the Lions Den because you're tired of being lied to, and you know that some of your brethren are way out of control and leading y'all down a dark hole and an abyss. And others out here from other nations out here listening to us, and to all the intelligentsia agencies listening to us, listen, you know that what we're saying here is the truth, but just like all the other leaders of world empires, Egypt, Rome, Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, you're going to harden your hearts. But still you're being warned, and you're being told, and you're being given a last chance, although you don't deserve it. You better repent, reform, and chill out, but you're not. Donald Trump was trying to get up out this war because, again, Iran has been giving them the business. And then with China and Russia not officially laying down weapons and hands on, still the intelligence that they have been providing Iran, knocking out American targets and bases, it has been nothing but a very bad 5 to 6 weeks now for we the people, because not only are we feeling the pinch out there in the battlefield, here on American soil, the continued cuts, social spending, food, heating, fuel and heating, and everything else continues to go up, and they try to find all types of ways to pay for this war. Every time you look around now, you got every kind of new lottery game that's coming out. That ain't nothing but a scheme, scam, and hustle to try to get people out, to get people to spend to pay for these wars. All right, school budgets being cut. Our children are already being miseducated. All right. And now here it is, more cuts, trying to pay for this war. And this ceasefire was Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, J.D. Vance and company. They were trying to use that to get up out of there, because here it is. Oh, we came, we saw, we conquered. And now we're in a joint venture with the Iranian people for the Strait of Hormuz, which you know is a lie, because how can you be in a joint venture when, number one, you're not getting any money off the Strait of Hormuz? The Iranian people still control that canal, and now it's closed. Now it's closed. If you don't know what that means that nobody is being allowed to come through. Now, can you say embargo, people? Embargo. That means the fuel and heating here, the gas is going to go through the roof, because Iran is not playing. And believe me when I tell you, not only is it Iran, Russia and China, who we showed last night, gave vetoes on how America was rocking out. Pakistan tried to come in and broker this deal. Although they run with Iran, but they try to broker a deal. But now Israel just showed you can't reason with a beast. You can't reason with the unreasonable. You know, Israel's like, for those of you out there who can relate, remember back when you were young and you hang out with a crew of people and it's all with that one person, that one, no matter where y'all go, he or she was guaranteed to start a fight. Here it is, y'all go out, you're having a good time, and here they come. I got beef. I got beef. Yeah, you got beef because every time we go out, you starting something, man. You starting something. And then here it is, you got to put yourself in harm's way because it's still your people's and you're not going to see them get hurt. But still, the fight didn't have to go down if they would have just chilled out. That's Israel. Go ahead, Smash.
Can I bring something to insight? I just want to
go to work.
Okay, when we think about like the finances and like how detrimental this war, will be to either side. But when we talk about the side that the captivity, the part of captivity that we're in right now, right? When we think about this, we got to understand something that yes, America has some sources as far as like what the land itself, produces that can give us certain things like, like we have our own oil and this and this. But what people need to understand is majority of America is basically artificial. That means we get our produce from everywhere else. We get our oil from certain places, as we see, you know what I mean? And we get our food certain places, even wheat and grain. You know what I mean? Why? I don't know. Something happened when these people came, touched their foot on here, and stuff just started going haywire. But anyway, I just think people should think about that. Like the country that right now, as we speak, that's supposed to be at war with with America, right? These people have the people that are on their side. They also are producers of America. You know what I mean? So people need to understand, like the dude Donald Trump, he said that he was gonna knock Iran into the Stone Ages, when honestly that could be this I'm not trying to be gory, you know what I mean? I understand that the scripture say we're supposed to ask for peace and all of that in the land that we in, all of that. But I'm just saying, bro, people need to understand that it could be us that get knocked back a lot, a few years back, bro. So yeah.
And I understand exactly where you're coming from, but see, we have to understand we're dealing with gangsters, people. We're not dealing with civilized. We're not dealing with civilized, couth, decorum, or well trained and sophisticated people. So we have to understand that the class of the ruling class currently, many of them, let's not forget, they were the dregs and the underbelly of Europe, and they got kicked out. And their children came over here, and what did they do? They invaded, plagued, and ransacked this beautiful land, and the Native Americans who were here first, who welcomed with open arms. Then the whole issue of slavery and colonization, the triangular slave trade, when they made deals with certain African tribes to take our people into captivity and brought them here. And yes, all kinds of brutal and evil ways and means and machinations were put into play to beat our culture, beat our civility and good sense up out of us. And their children to this day are worse than their parents. So we have to understand the nature of this beast that we're dealing with. Donald J. Trump is a gangster, a swindler, con artist, right along with all the other previous presidents that have come and ruled the roost. And whether right wing, left wing, Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, this whole bird is foul. And it's FOUL. We know that now. And what we've been dealing with for the last 30 years or better is a rogue element of both the Republican and Democrat Party who clearly do not give a good goddamn about humanity, nor we the people, whether Israelite, whatever you may call yourself, doesn't matter. They don't care about you. It's quite clear. And they will do whatever it takes to maintain their power structure. And that is from bombing, raiding, flooding, lynching, burning, to maintain their power structure all throughout this earth. But now we're living in a time where every other nation, and some of our people now, are tired of them. Hell, you have certain white people who are tired of certain white people. And for those who are listening, we're not racist, not at all. No, we're not. We're not bigoted racists, and we are following the Federal Communications Commission's rules, regulations, and guidelines. We're not sitting up here getting at anybody based upon their race. We're getting on any and everybody based upon their actions and their deeds. And we cannot sit up here and ignore the fact that we have, since the inception of this country, a host of demonic entities walking with earthly feet, ruling this society. See, what I'm not going to do, what Smashing Idol's not going to do, the seventh answer, what she's not going to do. While, yeah, we got this war going on, we still have not forgotten the Jeffrey Epstein files. We still have not forgotten all the names in those files, and now all the revelations of child raping, flesh eating, human flesh eating vampires and zombies who call themselves our lawmakers, our executive and legislative branch and judicial branch. That's right. We're not going to forget that either as we converse. But now this double cross, though, Smash Nada, where do you see this going? Both you, and I'm asking you and the seventh answer. Where do you see this going? Are we going to go in World War III, or will there be a last minute reprieve and a hope for peace?
Well, you dealing with a prideful man, as you can see. You know what I mean? We can literally see. I was watching it was like a collage or something, and the person was saying, like, every time you turn around, he's saying 2 weeks. In about 2 weeks, every time he say 2 weeks, he lying. So we didn't heard him say 2 weeks a lot of times. So I'm prone to like call people bluff after they say they talk too much and say the same thing so many times and ain't no results. You know, I personally think like, you know, I'm not gonna say like these people have the power, like the Iran have the power to like get down on the American soil. I'm not gonna say that, but we're talking resources and material, which is what America is based off of. Its whole production is the paper dollar and whatever else it can produce, and then it's fashion. It's trendy. It's trend. So I personally believe like Iran might just get down on them as far as knowing what they need and the people that's behind them, Russia, China, these people, you know what I mean? They are also produce, they produce to America as well, you know what I mean? So that's it. And also, since Sister Karima brought this up, I wanted to read this real fast because
Go ahead, please, go ahead.
I believe personally, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, within the Israelite community or whatever, some people might not think like certain people isn't Edom or whatever. So we have to understand, like, when we're looking at these videos and on social media and the news and stuff, we're seeing that majority of these nations are going against, even if they're so-called allies of America, they're going against what these people are, what this dude is doing. You know what I mean? And they would be basically saying Malachi 1:4, whereas Edom has said, "We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus says Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them what? The border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh has indignation for forever. The border of wickedness. You're having, even though we know these other nations, they are, they're wicked too, they're not exempt. But the things that this man is doing, and all the nations are pointing their finger and saying, this is wicked. This is wrong what you're doing, you know. So, yeah, Malachi 1:4 is what I would say about the whole thing. Whoever the border of wickedness is, then they gonna lose sooner or later. Oh,
Well, honestly,
and
okay,
I
go
apologize.
ahead.
I just want to bring one more thing out. People do need to understand, if history out of nowhere, once Iran and America, Israel, whatever, went to war, everybody started knowing, and it started being put out that those people are the modern day Persians. If you look into your scriptures, you know what the Persians do. Nobody really, they don't mess with anybody. People come mess with them. And for some reason, go read it, and you'll see Persia has a history for freeing the Israelites, I would basically say. So yeah.
Okay, and what about you, Seventh Answer? Do you have an opinion on the issue? Because you did say I'm seeing a lot of things that you laid out are coming to pass, left, right, and center as well. But if not, I know she's back. She's engineering and everything. So what I'll do is I'll come on in and just say to see, look, whether you believe in the Bible or not, for those who are listening, we don't. Now, I tend not to give you a sermon. There are other brothers out there who will inundate you and hit you and bathe you down with scriptural content. I choose to make this, a easy listening format for our non-Bible believers who are now starting to see, however, the reality of the Bible. But we got to give you milk. So I'm the milkman. We the milkman and milkwoman, the Seventh Answer and I. But we're going to say this to you. Look, a great many of you out there, you know that biblical prophecy is literally now falling off the pages. Okay? We're seeing, for those of you out there who are looking for an answer, we'll give you an answer. The book of Obadiah tells you the children of Edom, and for all of our Caucasian listeners, a great many of you, you know your history. You know the history. You know what time it is. All the men of your confederacy are now against you. See, your lechery and your treachery. as outlined in the book of Isaiah, the 47th chapter. When you, it said from a future standpoint, when you will cease or try not to be treacherous, they're going to be treacherous with you. But you know what? Listen, you are now, we all are about to see biblical prophecy come to full pass now. Because see, understand this here. You better believe the draft is now coming. More and more cuts are going to come. And when these cuts come, civil war or uncivil war are going to break in this country. We're already seeing, again, upheavals in India, Italy, Kazakhstan. If you take time out to go and check it out for yourself, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, and all other European nations, the UK, because you know why? People are tired of all these psychopaths and sociopaths who have entrenched themselves into the leadership position in these nations and are using the people's money for their own benefit. And then, using the military and all kinds of other underhanded tactics and means to bring people into submission. But that's over with now. People are tired. Here it is, all these billions of dollars for every kind of war and every kind of malfunction, dysfunction you can think of, but there's no money to allocate for fair wages, fair housing, fair everything. Enough is past enough. So we understand that we're dealing with some very sick people who believe that it's their God-given right to now seek out ways and means to depopulate the earth. Or as Emmanuel Zabriskie, if I'm saying his name, Emil Zabriskie said so many years ago, it's easier to kill 1 million people than to try to control them. So this is why we understand what's happening. See, the reason that we've been going to war in all these different lands for the last 30 years is because America needs water. Because at last count, way back in 1997, because that's how I'm always studying and checking things out from an environmental standpoint. At last count, going back to 1997, an estimated 225 bodies of water in this country are polluted. All right, undrinkable. But yet and still, we get told bottled water, Poland Spring, and all these other bottled waters are somehow tapped from some source that's pure. We have all kinds of hormones that are now being found in the water, tap water. But 225, that's back in 1997, are polluted. That's why we've been going to war in these last 30 years, because America needs water. America needs oil because of all the greed and the graping of the land and the oil. That's why America seeks now to go here, there, and everywhere else, trying to steal and gangster people's resources. America needs land. See, the overall majority of our food, as Smash and Idol just said early on, is imported. Why? Because much of the farmland in this country has been decimated because it wasn't given a chance to rest. So they want to go on other people's lands, grow food, and then bring it back here. But as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, these plans, though at certain times work, but now they're not working. Now they're not working. Why? Because the one true God, he is now lifting. For whether you believe it or not, or accept it or not, that's your business. But the one true God, if you want to say, you want to give him his manifestation as karma, as righteous judgment, fine, knock yourself out. But the I am is now shifting the paradigm. He can't come fast enough for me, but he's shifting the paradigm, and nothing that you do now works. All your crafty, all your warlockery, witchery, I'm going to tune into my inner Jesse Jackson and make up words. All that is now about to be transformified, and you about to be calcified. and that's real talk. And that's just what it is. That's what's happening to our Caucasian listeners and other nations that are listening. That's what's happening. A great many of you, you know that your divine judgment is in full effect. You have every reason to be scared. I'm telling you right now, I don't blame you for being scared. Because if the Great Spirit allowed us, his chosen, to be brutalized and punished the way we were punished, what you think he gonna do to you? Because you were given your shot at the title to make it right, but you chose to go way left. And it was allowed, even though I have questions about that, but I know my place, it was allowed. But now that charm where whatever you did by way of your father came, whatever you did would be allowed, and it would work until your judgment came. Now it's not working. That's why everywhere you go, you're losing. That's why you here in America, you're losing. All across the earth, you're losing. This is why people are coming against you. Look, what makes you think that after being a bully time and time and time again, even in the face of your judgment, and you're still hardening your heart, that you're not going to be dealt with? What makes you think that? So yes, that's why people are coming against you, because a divine paradigm is in full effect.
And let me tell you something, heathens. While we on, y'all, let me tell you something. You're not doing nothing. You think you're doing something. You think that you're making decisions to go and create devastation on other countries, and what you say, the dude said, I'm a oblivion, or whatever he said, a whole civilization. Let me tell you something. You're not doing nothing. Isaiah 45:5 say, I am Yahweh and there is no other. Beside me, there is no Elohim, or no God. I equip you, though you do not know me, that people may know from the sun, from the rising sun, from the west, and there is none beside me. I am Yahweh, there is no other. I form the light, I create darkness, I make well-being and create calamity. You're not going to war. Yahweh's making you do this so his word will come true. You're a pawn. You've been a pawn of the pawns. While you created all type of confusion and war and chaos throughout the world, you scattered the children of Yahshua all type of places. You know, you've done all type of stuff. You thought that it was of your own might, but it was only for your day of doom to come. That's it, big bro.
And see, let me just lay this down, right? As I said earlier on, There's some of us who will come in here and will, definitely, be allowed to speak from a scriptural standpoint. And there are those of us who use the scripture without using them. But the bottom line, a lot of you out there, as you tune in, again, even you atheists now are blowing the dust off your Bibles because you see the signs that are in the earth right now. One part of the earth is on fire. One part of the earth is underwater. One part of the earth is in the deep freeze, and some parts of the earth are in a heat wave. Then you have in between that wars, famines, and all types of calamities that are just happening back to back to back to back without no explanation. But there is an explanation, a divine paradigm, a divine shift is happening all throughout the earth. And when you have astronomers who are now acknowledging that the planets are all aligned, and when you go into astronomy, when you go into the divine and biblical angle, it tells you that when the planets are aligned, one behind the other, these are all the divine signs of a judgment that is about to take place here on earth. That's what's happening. All these sightings of different kinds of what America want to say are drones, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs. No, what they are the chariots of God, the angelic forces now mobilizing. We've shown you video, we've seen videos of these things going into the sea, into land, caves, all that. What do you think the movie series Predator, what do you think that movie series was about? That is an offshoot of how the angelic forces get down. See, we're now moving into the biblical phase of Jeremiah, the 16th chapter. The Lord said that there will come a time he would send forth those who will be fishing. For a long time, you had, even if they were non-practicing Israelites, non-practicing Jews, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the Medgar Evers, the Huey Newtons, and so many others who tried to appeal to conscience. You had those of us within the faith go out in these streets. Yeah, some of you want to call us Bible thumpers and hate teachers, but no. For a long time, fishing, trying to appeal to reason and all that, and to no avail. But he also said in the same Jeremiah, the 16th chapter, that what? Now he going to send forth hunters, and they're going to hunt. And we're in that time, this war, this beginning of World War III. You better believe whatever you got up your sleeve, the whole depopulation idealism, the whole, you want to release your Terminators, Robocops, none of that's going to work. See, what you think you're doing in secret now, it's been revealed to a great many people, and this is why things are going the way they're going. And though Trump and company, some of them see the handwriting on the wall and they're trying to avert it, no, there are forces among them that are hell-bent and hell-driven. And Israel is one of them. And that's just what it is. So now the double-edged sword and divine justice is in full effect. See, what you've done to Black Americans in this country, Foundation of Black Americans, and the supposed and tentative identified 11 other families of the nation of Israel, what you've done to us has to be avenged and will be avenged. See, I'm going to remind you, the up-tempo and all of this went down and came off right after. I want you to take, some of y'all to pay attention. Right after, 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, when you had Ghana go before the United Nations. I want y'all to just bear with me on this. United Nations trying to incorporate themselves into the reparations movement, which they have no business being in the first place, trying to hijack it, but it didn't work. But still, during that summit, you had Dan Negria, a representative of America, make an official statement of record. It hadn't been no record that America set forth on how they felt about reparations. But Dan Negria, in summary, when he said that America can't be held criminally responsible for slavery, when all that was done in that time period up until 1964 was all legal. When he put that vibration out there, everything has been escalating divine-wise. Also, Ghana is being hit with flood after flood after flood. Now go check it out for yourself if you don't believe us. Seventh answer, take it away.
Daniel's prophecy, the 10 horns. Deep in the pages of the Bible, there's a mysterious figure called the little horn. This isn't just any character. It's a symbol, a prophecy, and a warning that's more relevant today than ever before. Stay with me, because by the end of this, and some of the most detailed prophecies in all of Scripture. Daniel was a young man taken captive to Babylon, but God gave him extraordinary wisdom and the ability to interpret dreams. But what he saw in Daniel chapter 7 would have terrified even the bravest man. He has a vision that is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. He sees 4 great beasts rising, each one. It's not just to capture his attention, it's something. One of the beasts rises a horn. This isn't just a small deal. What is this little horn? To understand the little horn, we first need to unpack the 4 beasts in Daniel's vision. These beasts represent 4 great empires that would rule the world. The lion with eagle's wings, many believe symbolizes Babylon, the kingdom that captured Daniel. The bear raised one side with 3 ribs in its mouth. Many believe represents the Medo-Persian Empire. The leopard with 4 wings and many believe is the Greek Empire led by Alexander the Great. That the little horn emerges. Kingdom that captured Daniel. The bear raised on one side with 3 ribs in its mouth. Many believe represents the Medo-Persian Empire. The leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads, many believe is the Greek Empire led by Alexander the Great. And finally, the terrifying beast with iron teeth, which many believe represents the Roman Empire, an empire of unmatched strength and brutality. But here's the twist that changes everything. It's out of this 4th beast that the little horn emerges. This is where things get really interesting. In Daniel 7:8, about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eye and a mouth that spoke boastfully. Now let's pause for a second. This isn't just any horn. It's a symbol of power, intelligence, and arrogance. Many scholars believe this little horn represents the Antichrist, the ultimate figure of rebellion against God. The world prepares to receive the Antichrist. Daniel's prophecy, the 10 horns. Deep in the pages of the Bible, there's a mysterious figure called the little horn. This isn't just any character. It's a symbol, a prophecy. At the end of this,
Daniel's little horn reveals the Antichrist's global rise. Buried deep in the book of Daniel is a symbol overlooked by many, a little horn. It's not just a strange image from an ancient vision. It's a prophetic rise from the sea. Each one symbolizing far more dangerous emerged. A small horn with eyes like a man and a mouth full of arrogant words. This wasn't just a king, it was a preview of a future enemy, an antichrist. And Daniel's warning may be our only map to find him. But what Daniel saw next will shock you. Hidden within his visions are 10 specific clues about this coming ruler's personality. And here's the first shocking clue about the Antichrist's personality. He begins in obscurity. He doesn't start as a world leader. He starts as someone nobody notices. But those eyes Daniel saw weren't ordinary eyes. In ancient symbolism, eyes represent intelligence and perception. This coming ruler will possess supernatural insight. He'll see opportunities others miss. He'll understand people's deepest fears and desires. He'll know exactly what to say and when to say it. The mouth that speaks destruction. Daniel couldn't forget that mouth. It wasn't just speaking, it was speaking boastfully. But what kind of boastful words would capture a prophet's attention for eternity? Daniel 7:25 reveals the answer. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. This gives us personality clue. Number 2. The Antichrist will be a master communicator who uses words as weapons. But here's what will terrify you. He won't sound evil at first. He'll sound reasonable, logical, even compassionate. Peace for every conflict, prosperity for every nation. Personality clue. Number 3 emerges here. He'll be supernaturally charismatic. People won't just follow him, they'll be mesmerized by him. But Daniel saw something that reveals the exact moment this ruler's true nature will be exposed. Daniel 7:25 for a time, times, and half a time. This phrase, time, times, and half a time, appears multiple times in Daniel's prophecies. Bible scholars agree this equals 3.5 years. But here's the shocking part. This timeline perfectly matches the second half of the 7-year tribulation period described in Revelation. This reveals personality clue number 4. The Antichrist will maintain a false, peaceful image for the first half of the tribulation, then reveal his true evil nature for the final 3.5 years. The switch won't be gradual. It will be sudden and complete. Daniel 8:23 gives us personality clues 5 through 8 in rapid succession. In the latter part of their reign, when rebels have become completely wicked, a fierce-looking king, a master of intrigue, will arise. Clue 5. He'll have a fierce appearance, not necessarily physically frightening, but intimidating in presence. When he enters a room, people will feel his power. Clue 6. he'll be a master of intrigue. This means he'll excel at secret plans, hidden agendas, and political manipulation. He'll say one thing publicly while planning something completely different privately. Daniel's
No, get those lights off! Off!
If he blows the trumpet and warns the people, then whoever hears the sound of the trumpet and does not take warning, if the sword comes and takes him away, his blood shall be on his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet, but did not take warning. His blood shall be upon himself. But he who takes warning will save his life. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet, and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood I will require at the watchman's hand.
Donald Fellows, vile arrogant king of the north, who comes from the west speaking great things and pompous words against God, and honors Apollo on the 66th floor of his 666 feet tall tower with a 666 triangle of Satan on the side.
In the book of Daniel 7, the Bible talks about the final world empire. It describes that empire as a beast because Daniel is having a vision. And on that beast, he sees 10 horns that come out of that beast. Those 10 horns represent 10 kings that will rule over the entire earth. And this level ends up being Antichrist. And it says, as rising, he will subdue 3 of those kings. And the Bible says in Revelation that eventually all of the kings will give their power to the Antichrist for a short time for him to have dominion. To ask yourself, that is
Okay.
of peace
Wow.
and safety.
Okay, there we go.
Is there anyone alive today in safety, specifically in Israel? Not tripping or is chopping.
Yeah, it's definitely freezing right about now. Here's what I'm gonna say. Although, he's not really breaking the scriptures down like he's supposed to and everything else, I'm gonna say still, I rest my case. A lot of people are opening the Bible up. A lot of people are now really blowing the dust off and really reading. But again, some of you may not believe in the Bible. That's fine, and we're not here to force it down your throat. But for those of you who are just joining us, we thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher here at the Lion's Den. And you're now tuned into the segment titled, The Conversation Continues. The topic of discussion right about now is the lechery and treachery, the ceasefire that America and Israel established with Iran just got eradicated no, within 24 hours because Israel launched an attack on three countries that were supposed to be on the no-hit zone: Lebanon, Kuwait, Beirut, and Gaza. Well, that's four: Beirut and Gaza. And now there are reports saying that America has launched an attack on Iraq. I don't know how true it is. I'm trying to get official reports on that. But if that's true, then definitely this was definitely some evil backdoor wheeling and dealing, and sneak attacks that didn't work out, and now they missed. But let's see who's talking. Now we're in the first 1 hour mark. Okay, yeah, Smash Nighter. I would agree. Somebody definitely don't want something to be heard. I agree. And Water Blue Ezekiel, yeah, it's very choppy. Salab, yeah, welcome to the Lion's Den. And Water Blue, shalom to you as well. And yeah, still the show will go on and will go on and continue to go on, videos or not. As long as the audio and everything else, we're still here. We're going to continue to be able to break this down to you. Look, no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you can't stop the truth. The truth is infallible. The truth is untouchable. The truth will always find ways around the lies blockade. And so, as we continue on, we're talking about the fact that here it is. Not only is it rumored that Donald Trump and company have hit Iraq, but now Trump and company are looking to withdraw from NATO. Now, are you serious? See, this is where pride and arrogance comes into play in that Antichrist figure. Because NATO, the League of Nations and all that, this is where every nation comes together and it's supposed to go by some rules, regulations, and decorum and follow the rules. If we tell you to stand down, leave a certain place alone, don't come fiddling with other people's affairs within the NATO rules and regulations and guidelines, every nation is supposed to obey. Now, America, in its structure being a republic, it's also a sovereign nation. And so it looks to me, because that you have Britain, Japan, you have other European nations not backing Donald Trump, don't want them flying, doesn't want American planes flying in their airspace after launching this unjust war, an unwarranted war with Iran. They don't want them flying, American planes flying in their airspace. And you got Russia and Japan, who just issued a huge monumental Yeah, I'm back. Like I was saying, yeah, somebody mad. But okay, and we understand, but listen, America is saying with or without these other nations, they're going to continue to do what they want to do when they want to do it. However, this is costing us now. And what Israel did, they should not have done. They shouldn't have done that. And with America now wanting to back it, though they want to get out this war, but now with them backing, that's that hardening of the heart. That's my homie. That's my people's, right or wrong. Here we go. We're now in the beginning stages of World War III. And you best believe that now, with this action, and if this rumor that Iraq is now being attacked, and they haven't been bothering anyone after that whole war with America, with George W. Bush, in what, 20 or more years? If you're attacking them now, America, then you really are putting us in some extreme dookie poo. And you better believe that we, the people, are going to have to pay for this. But I'm telling you right now, brace yourself. Lockdowns are coming to this country. See, again, all the sedition and all of the rebellion in other lands and nations, that anger, that climate of anger, that climate of being fed up is definitely going to hit America. No ifs, no ands, or buts about it. And what we going to do, and the thing is, right, all we're doing is talking about it. All we're doing is bringing forth the truth. See, you would think that someone who says that they're the leaders of the free world, who claim that America is the land of the free and home of the brave, you'd want to hear free and brave and intelligent citizenry tell you the right thing. But especially when you also propagate in God we trust. But now it's clear more than ever what God you are trusting in. And it's definitely not the God of the Bible. It can't be. Not with all the revelations that we've been seeing in regards to the Jeffrey Epstein files. It can't be that God which outlaws the violation of a person, in any manner, and especially children. Can't be that God. It can't be the God of the Bible which outlaws vampirism and zombieism, eating human flesh. Can't be that God. It can't be the God of the Bible which outlaws sacrificing to pagan idols and demonic forces. Can't be that God. Can't be. So there you go. We have to look at the mentality of who and what we're dealing with now. What kind of person goes around justifying and saying it's legal what America did during the period of slavery? What kind of mentality must you have to say that? And I keep reminding you, this is what Dan DeGreer said. So, again, feeding children, black children too, alligators and crocodiles as bait, that was legal. Graping men and women, the buck breaking process, all that was legal. So, selling us like cattle and chickens and breaking up family alliances and ties. That was legal. The bombing of Wall Street, Rosewood, and 50 other prosperous black townships and other business ventures in the North, South, Midwest, West, East, whatever. All that was legal. And all the way up to 1964, the bombing of churches, killing 4 little girls, and the assassination of many a leader here on American soil. All that, according to Dan Negria, speaking officially for America, was perfectly legal. Legal. I want you to let that sink in. So there you go. You now understand the mindset that you're dealing with. And let's put it in to take you further. A group of people that would find it okay to feed black children to alligators and crocodiles. Is that the mind of a god or the mind of devils? A group of people that would find it okay, perfectly legal, to take black women who were pregnant, hang them upside down by their ankles, proceed to use a cutting instrument, rip into their bodies, and the fetus of a child, male or female, take their boot or whatever they use to crush the skulls of these children. And eventually the mother would bleed out. Perfectly legal. Is that the mindset of a god or the mindset of devils? People who thought it was okay to lynch, maim, and grape. Perfectly legal. Is that the mind frame of a god or the mind frame of devils? What say you that are listening? And here it is to now make it an official statement and a matter of record in the United Nations. All perfectly legal. Which means that everything else they've done throughout the centuries, perfectly legal. Which is why Donald J. Trump and company are trying to close down all the museums that feature black, slavery, the experience, and all the pictures and images. You're trying to destroy it now. No, look, you can't get away with that. You can't do that. You can't. It's not going to be allowed. And now with this war transpiring, though you might use that to try to make a great many of us forget the Jeffrey Epstein debacle and Revelations, nope, that still has to be dealt with. When we now see, and you can let this video go, Seventh Answer. You gave it a good and gallant effort. We're gonna move on. We got other videos that we need to have good people see. All right. But now, with Pete Hegseth, your head of the Department of War, being investigated and potentially going to be brought up on charges of insider trading. What does that mean? That means that there are other big names who are also in on the insider trading game, making money off this war. But again, those who play two sides of the game, both sides of the game, eventually you get caught and eventually you get crushed. because no one likes cheaters. No one likes swindlers, con artists, because no one likes to be conned. And so this is where we're at now. We're in a time where a great many of us out here, as George W. Bush said on September 12th, after the World Trade Center was knocked down, in Building 7, when he gave a speech and he said, the time has come where those of you out here listening, you will have to make a choice where you're either going to be evil or you're going to be good. You're going to be either for us or against us. And if you are against us, then you are our enemy. Well, to anyone out there listening, I'll speak for myself, not Seventh Answer. But then again, look, I can speak for her. If you evil, if you're not doing good, if you're out here manipulating the minds of people through your media, the most evil devil in America, if you're out here using propaganda and lies, then guess what? We will be your enemy. We will be the lions that come for you, hunt you, and discombobulate you spiritually, intellectually, and emotionally. Break you down to your lowest compound. That is what we're supposed to do. So help us God. We're sworn in the lion's den to take on all enemies, foreign, but especially domestic. And when you're out here ripping off a great many people through their Social Security, their 401ks, their retirement plans, your rating and unfair wages, you want to continue to move the goalpost on social programs where you telling people, look, we don't want you to eat because we want to take that EBT money and send it to Israel or somewhere else so they can eat. We're going to be your enemy. If you want to use the military that is supposed to defend against injustices and those who will seek to hurt interest, American interest or whatever, if you want to now use that same military to be gangsters, to go in and take other people's resources and put young men and women who only join trying to get a job because you cut Job Corps, you cut trade schools and so many other different avenues that they want to use for success. You've been making promises within the military structure and not keeping them, but you're using these young people's bodies to go out there to be destroyed. Then okay, we will be your enemy because we're going to out you for that. We'll be your enemy. It's just that simple. And our job is to talk about, reveal these things, and talk about it in an intellectual manner. And if we're lying, it's your responsibility and your burden of proof to prove us wrong. But you know what? We're not lying. But for some of you out there, you have a problem with the fact that it's black faces, our ethnicity, so-called black, whatever. You have a problem with the fact that we're the ones saying it. That's tough, though. That's your business. But what we are showing you, and anyone out there listening from other nations as well, that we're not the mindless zombies and the beast of burden and the dummies that you have been programmed to think we are. No, we're far from that. And now, gradually, steadily, a great many of us are reclaiming and retaking our place on this world stage of power in the game of spiritual and physical politics, unapologetically. And so, we're going to continue on, right? And we have other videos we want you to see because, again, like I said, we're in some dire and dark times. And for those who are listening, we always say, always, if you have debts, clean them up. Wipe out all your financial obligations, pay them off quickly as possible. If you have land, make it your business to try to pay up your land taxes for the next 10 years if possible, or more. Get yourself in the mind state of knowing how to hunt, how to plant, whatever needs to be done. But as the conversation continues, we're going to show you why. Listen carefully. Let's go to work, Seventh Dancer. Let's go to work.
One of many attacks at the Iranian capital since this morning. There've been attacks on the airport also. So there are many people who live in the area.
Thank you. Or coexistence with the Iranian people to continue. Maybe they hit it so that we would be afraid and stop coming to these places. Because throughout the 12-day war and over the past 38 days until now, our synagogues and schools, every remained. None of places had been closed.
More people. What's going on in homes, maybe to check what's left. At the end, it's just a reflection of what's going on daily basis. Ali Hashim, Al Jazeera, Tehran.
Seventh Answer, is that
So,
Lebanon
friends, in a
that
Supreme
got hit?
Court ruling today, 4 Supreme
Are we
Court
looking at
justices
Lebanon?
were
That video? Was that Lebanon?
Yeah.
Now, see, I want y'all to pay attention to how ruthless these people are. They didn't hit a war zone. They're now hitting civilians. See, this is war crimes in the making. See, this is how diabolical and demonic these bitches are. I'm going to go hard body for a hot second. A truce was called, but here they are hitting. This is what they do. The craven cowards they are. They can't hit the military. They can't hit the designated areas they should be hitting. So you want to go after people who are trying to live their lives and really don't have much to say or do with the war zone. They're hitting civilians, y'all. See, we definitely in World War III. And you ain't seen nothing yet. It's really about to go down. This is evil what they did. That's why we're in the war in the first place. When you had America go in and kill 100 girls in a school in Iran and then kill Ali Khamenei, the primary ruler. See, we're not making things up. This is what's happening. And that's why we told you a media blackout is happening. You wouldn't notice if you didn't tune into the Lion's Den and other media, black media platforms out here. You wouldn't notice because of the media blackout that is being deliberately done here in this country. But we're on our job as the conversation continues. Run the video, Seventh Answer.
Entirely willing to let the Trump-induced darkness descend on America. But the good news is 5 Supreme Court justices were not. In a very real sense, those 5 justices today pushed back against Donald Trump's abuse and overreach. And hey, we will take our points of light where we can find them. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, not long after taking office, Donald Trump
Germany's Tagesspiegel newspaper ran this political cartoon today. Above is the original that was printed in German, and below is the English translation. The caption reads, "Even murderers and racists treat themselves once in a while to new clothes." And that's just the start, because this was the front page of that same newspaper with front page coverage of what happened in Minnesota this past weekend. Even if US media isn't sharing the full truth about what's happening in the United States, international media definitely is. The headline reads, "America in turmoil after fatal shooting of US citizens by ICE officials." The article then goes on to explain that what the Trump administration claims happened does not match what we see in video footage. So since this was translated, sometimes the English is a little bit awkward. The article goes on to say, before everyone's eyes, a government fight against all of those who express criticism unfolds. That both Alex and Renee were targeted and murdered after criticizing and filming ICE operations in their city. It was their right, and it was their death sentence. And the article does not describe this as a breakdown in policing. It says, on the streets of the United States, there is violence, state violence, and that no one is safe anymore. At least that's what the Trump regime wants to make you believe. The question in the coming weeks will be whether the United States society can be intimidated, whether the citizens accept the war that Trump has brought to the cities, or whether they are resisting. But the positive is that Trump can end this at any time. Germany's Tagesspiegel newspaper ran this
have started. It is official. This is not coming out across the mainstream news media outlets just yet. This actually just happened moments ago. So if you were live with me, there's not a whole lot of reports coming out on this. It's coming out across social media news outlets. I am seeing this come out on the Times of Israel in Israel right now. The news stations are reporting the attacks are taking place. This is also coming out on the Daily Wire, and I'm seeing it across various social media platforms as well. Instagram, X, it's being reported that this is taking place. As I mentioned, the mainstream news media outlets have not yet reported on this, so I don't have any articles to cite other than what I'm seeing pop up on the live feeds right now. Daily Wire and also also the Israel Times. It is official. The warnings that we've been talking about this week, Iran is officially launching the attacks against Israel. We had heard warnings from the Biden administration. Biden said yesterday, don't. But he said that he believed that they were going to attack. It has started, and a lot of people are concerned that this could be the beginning of a major war, as Biden told Iran, don't. And he said that we will stand with Israel, we will support Israel, and Iran will fail in their attacks against Israel. So this is happening right now at this very moment. It is Saturday, April the 13th, 20 have started. It is official. This
President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. As the President truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough.
People of Iran has formed lines around their power plants. The 8 p.m. deadline is approaching. Is Donald Trump really going to do this? They are literally standing out there being human shields, hoping that this show of unity will stop Donald Trump from planning his attack. If he carries out this mission, this will be a war crime. All those innocent civilians will be unalived if they drop bombs. If he hasn't seen this footage, I hope they hurry up and show it to him. To say you didn't know, but we knew is a load of bullshit. Guess we really gonna have to see what happens next. People of
deep concern. These strikes have not been limited to military positions. They have impacted vital infrastructure and disrupted the lives of ordinary people, raising questions about the direction of this crisis. We condemn any operation that crosses the line into destabilization and threatens regional calm. We have made clear that continued escalation will only widen tensions and increase uncertainty for nations near and far. Russia is not seeking confrontation. Instead, we urge all parties to step back from further actions that risk broader instability. We support diplomatic efforts and encourage meaningful dialogue among all sides. At this critical moment, the choices made by leaders around the world will shape the future of international peace. Can cooler heads prevail and return this situation to the negotiating table before it grows even more dangerous? The eyes of the world are fixed on this escalating crisis. Every decision now carries weight, and only responsible diplomacy can prevent wider instability. It is imperative that all parties step back from aggressive actions and commit to dialogue, or the consequences could ripple far beyond the region. Russia has
We are at the site of an enormous Israeli military strike here in Beirut. This is one of the targets struck today among what the Israeli military has described as 100 Hezbollah targets, which were hit across Lebanon today. But you can see the scale of the destruction. This building behind me completely destroyed. These appear to be residential buildings, and if you look beside me over here, there are shops all the way down this road. This area would have been very busy at the time of the strike today, and now we are seeing the chaos unfolding around the aftermath. Emergency services on the ground, the military, and in this building behind me there are emergency responders still trying to recover victims from the rubble. We are at the site of an enormous Israeli military strike.
Well, there's been a statement this morning from the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and it is far less triumphal than the statements from President Trump and from Iran, noting only that this was a decision by President Trump and saying it supports his efforts. In truth, the objectives set out by Prime Minister Netanyahu at the beginning of the war have not been achieved. Iran, the Iranian regime is still there, and Iran still poses a threat. Indeed, missiles were fired from Iran into Israel even after the ceasefire deal was announced. We heard sirens here in Jerusalem overnight and loud explosions. And also a key dispute has emerged over whether Lebanon is included in this ceasefire deal. Iran and Pakistan's prime minister saying Lebanon is included. Israel is currently fighting the Iranian proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon, but Israel saying Lebanon is not included. And this is really a key issue, and that will have to be clarified today. Well, there's been a statement.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. At dawn today, the valiant fighters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy in the 88th wave of Operation True Promise 4, with the blessed code Ya Fatima al-Zahra, peace be upon her, launched.
The so-called ceasefire has already been violated. This is quickly devolving into chaos before our eyes as attacks continue. An oil refinery on Iran's Levant Island was attacked this morning. Iran then retaliated, striking Saudi Arabia's east-west oil pipeline in a drone attack. Kuwait says water desalination and power plants were struck by Iran earlier today. We're also hearing that the UAE and Bahrain were attacked. Meanwhile, Israel continues to pound Lebanon with airstrikes. The scenes out of Lebanon look apocalyptic right now. This is one of the largest coordinated strikes by the IDF against Lebanon to date. Reports are already coming in that at least 300 people were killed in the attacks, with many more injured. Iranian state media outlet Fars posted on Telegram that while 2 tankers transited the Strait of Hormuz this morning, they will block the strait as long as Israel attacks Lebanon. Iran says that Lebanon was part of the ceasefire agreement. Shehbaz Sharif, the PM of Pakistan and the independent mediator of this ceasefire, says that Lebanon is part of the ceasefire. But now the U.S. and Israel are contradicting him, saying that it is not. Sharif posted this morning, quote, "Violations of ceasefire have been reported at few places across the conflict zone, which undermine the spirit of peace process. I earnestly and sincerely urge all parties to exercise restraint and respect the ceasefire for 2 weeks as agreed upon so that diplomacy can take a lead role towards peaceful settlement of the conflict." Meanwhile, people are absolutely stunned by Trump's deal with Iran, even many supporters of Trump's war, as it appears he folded to every one of Iran's demands, including allowing them to charge ships to pass through the strait. This situation is extremely precarious at the moment. We'll keep following it, so spread the word and listen to the Midas Touch podcast.
अंदर लोग अंदर लोग
at the building. What is the Jai Sudha?
Here is today's Iran war update. Last night, the news came that the Trump administration has given up on its joint goals of overthrowing the Iranian regime and permanently disabling its nuclear program. It now says that its goal is to simply reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is what we had before the war began, so we could have avoided it just by not attacking. General Mattis is reporting that former American general, top White House official to Trump, Iran right now, if we declared victory, they would now say they owned the strait. You'd see attacks for every ship that goes through. We're in a tough spot, ladies and gentlemen. I can't identify a lot of options, he said. In fact, Iran is reportedly charging something like $2 million or something per ship that is now trying to go through the strait. It should be reminded that the straits are international waters. Nobody owns them. Trump, however, proposed today that they have joint ownership of the straits, joint control between Iran and the U.S. The Ayatollah and Donald Trump would personally control the Strait of Hormuz, which is international territory. But also, Iran didn't control it before, but Trump's going to give them 50% of the control. How is that like what? We did this war to give Iran more control over our oil? There are reports of huge U.S. troop movements. Here is today's Iran war update.
First of all, I want to tell the Israeli government and the Israeli leaders that the moment Israel uses a nuclear warhead against any other country, including against Iran, it will be the demise of Israel as a country, as a state. First of all, I want to
This is Lisa with 6 News. Iran president, over 14 million proud Iranians have declared their readiness to sacrifice their lives in defense of Iran, including myself. This is Lisa with 6 News. Iran president, over 14 million proud...
Trump's ceasefire lasted 1 minute and 37 seconds before Iran began bombing Israel again. Trump's ceasefire lasted 1 minute and 37 seconds before Iran.
Air raid warnings here in Tel Aviv. The lights from an interception. Again, 3 air raid warnings, meaning 3 instances of incoming fire from Iran towards Israel since President Trump announced a ceasefire. Either these are the last shots before Iran abides by the ceasefire, or it's possible some part of the Iranian leadership or some part of Iranian forces do not want to abide by that ceasefire. And Israeli officials remain skeptical a ceasefire will last. Air raid warning.
I just wanted to flag this social media post for you that just dropped from the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament as we watch whether or not this ceasefire, as fragile as it is, can hold. In this social media post, the Speaker is alleging that the United States has violated 3 of Iran's principles for a ceasefire already so far. They say that the Iranians say that the United States has non-compliance with the first clause of its 10-point proposal, that the entry of a drone into Iranian airspace violates the terms of the ceasefire, and denial of Iran's right to enrichment, which was included in Iran's framework, they say, also violates the terms of the ceasefire. Now they say now the very workable basis on which to negotiate has been openly and clearly violated even before the negotiations began. In such a situation, a bilateral ceasefire or negotiations is unreasonable. So you have here the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament now saying that a ceasefire and negotiations are unreasonable due to what they say are American violations of terms that the Iranians have laid out there. And this is one of those situations, Brian, where you might want to look at sort of deeds more so than words, and watch what the Iranians do over the next minutes and hours to see if there's anything behind this. But just wanted to flag that we are seeing this kind of skeptical language now from the Iranians.
This is Trump's 6th deadline. Up to yesterday, we'd had 5 shifting deadlines. Now this is the 6th. And the Iranians come out on top. And whatever is being said in the United States and whatever is being said in the Oval Office, I think the rest of the world can see that the Iranians are in a stronger position now than they were before the 28th of February when all this began. And they're making their demands. And interestingly, so the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, in theory, from today. So President Trump seems to say, well, that means we've succeeded. Well, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't a problem before this attack began. And now Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, very interesting. He's saying the Strait of Hormuz will be open subject to the supervision of our armed forces and due consideration for technical details. Well, it's nothing to do with the Iranian armed forces or technical details. The Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway. It's nothing to do with Iran. They have no power over it, any more than we have power over the English Channel, as it were, 21 miles Strait of Dover. That's an international waterway. So the fact that the Iranians are implying that they'll open the straits, given their generosity in opening the straits, means that, of course, they reserve the right to close them again. So we're halfway towards normality on the Strait of Hormuz, but only halfway. And as I say, the Strait of Hormuz was not a problem before this war began. This is Trump's sixth deadline.
Breaking tonight, Iranian state TV just issued a chilling broadcast. A great surprise will occur tonight, one that the world will remember for centuries. This is not a bluff. It's a warning, a threat, and even a promise. All eyes are now locked on Tehran. What could it be? A cyber attack, a missile strike, something nuclear? The world doesn't know, but Israel, the United States, and every single intelligence agency on the planet is watching. In the last 48 hours, over 200 Israeli warplanes have bombed Iran. Iran vowed revenge, and this might be it. Every time Iran says something like this, it's not for show. Remember, they struck U.S. bases in Iraq. They downed American drones. They nearly shut down global oil shipping in 2020. And now they're saying the whole world will remember tonight for centuries. Stay alert and watch the skies, because if the surprise lands tonight,
And we're back. And we ran down the collage of varying videos showing you exactly, you got some who say that Israel started it, some who say that Iran broke the truce, but we know the real deal. We know that Iran did not break this truce, and here it is, they're hitting civilians, y'all. This shows you how ruthless and low down they are. Lebanon, Kuwait, Beirut, Gaza. These are not war zones where rules of engagement as far as civilians and those who are not in the fray are supposed to be left untouched. And they were on that no-hit zone, but yeah, Israel said, nope, we're going to do what we want to do. Israel and America said, let's try to backdoor them and pull this. Well, we didn't say that Lebanon, Kuwait, Beirut, and Gaza weren't on the list. And knowing full well they were. And then all this crap about, well, there was a victory because, Donald Trump and the leaders of Iran were now in a joint venture. There is no joint venture, people. America went out there because, again, like I said at the beginning of this program, the conversation continues here in the Lion's Den. It's all about the money. And typical of America, they don't want to pay the toll to bring their oil in, wherein Iran is charging $3 million a ship. Woo, that's a lot of money. $3 million per ship. Do the math. So they try to go in there and pull a gangster move. But does this sound familiar? Where did this scenario take place? Oh, yeah. Let's go back in the time when you had the father of George W. Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, and the Panama Canal incident. Now, for some of you probably weren't born when that transpired. So let a geezer like myself put you up on game and go check it out for yourself. The Panama Canal is the shortest point between, I think it's the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. And traveling, it's the shortest point and shortest cut between the two oceans. But the travel through at that time, it was $50,000 each ship a country was using to pay. Now, The Panama Canal, when it was being constructed, Panama was having a lot of problems. America stepped in and helped Panama out. But there was a deal. For 50 years or better, the Panama Canal would be free. All American ships, when they traveled through, didn't have to pay a toll of any kind. But there was a clause in the Panama Canal Agreement. And that is, if by chance Panama loses control of the Panama Canal, and if they can't rule or govern it, then America would step in, take over, and control the Panama Canal in perpetuity, which means forever. And lo and behold, just when that agreement was up, George Herbert Walker Bush would declare war on Manuel Noriega under the whole guise of war on drugs, go in, annihilate a great many Panamanians to gangster and control the Panama Canal, all because they did not want to pay the tolls that were being charged. And now America controls that in perpetuity. So what's going on now? They tried the same maneuver, except Iran is not Panama. Panama wasn't really armed like that. And then Manuel Noriega was actually working for the United States of America at the time, for a long time. So it was a double cross, like they always do. But this time around, Iran has been ready. They've been getting ready for a long time. See, you think they didn't pay attention to what happened with Iraq? The assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, the assassination, well, the framing of Osama bin Laden for the entire World Trade Center attacks, and so many other things that were done in between that time till now. Iran has been watching, waiting. They too have been very angry about the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi and the darkness it's left Africa and other countries that Muammar Gaddafi was taking good care of. That was an evil thing that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton did when they assassinated that man. That was an evil thing they did. And so Iran has been waiting, bracing, and preparing itself, and all these other countries that are now backing out and not giving America no backing. They've been waiting, and they have been preparing for the lechery and the treachery. And now America and Israel are standing alone, pretty much. And it's going to get ugly. As the conversation continues, let's go to the videotapes. Let's go to the videotapes. Fair use, Shaw. Fair use.
Meantime, Iran is
fragile. That's how some White House officials describe the current ceasefire between Iran and the U.S.
Well, meantime, Iran is accusing the U.S. of violating parts of the deal, saying the ceasefire is unreasonable.
CBS LA's Gio Insignaris is monitoring the latest developments as both sides do not seem to be on the same page. Gio.
Rube, Pat, that's right. President Trump started the day yesterday, remember, by threatening to end Iranian civilization. Then came the 2-week ceasefire agreement. But already that's on shaky ground as there's disagreement over whether Lebanon is part of this truce and what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. We do want to warn you, though, that some of this video may be difficult to watch. Stunning footage showing a massive attack by Israel in Lebanon today, aimed at the Iranian-backed Hezbollah militia. The Israeli military saying 100 targets were hit in minutes. This security camera video shows people trying to rush away from explosions. Lebanese officials say at least 254 people were killed and more than 1,100 were injured. Pakistan, which mediated the ceasefire, originally said it did cover the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. But today, the White House denied that.
The deal is a ceasefire, a negotiation. That's what we give. And what they give is the straits are going to be reopened. If we don't see that happening, the president is not going to abide by our terms if the Iranians are not abiding by their terms.
Iran disagreed, as the country's foreign minister posted that if America didn't rein Israel in, the ceasefire was off. State media also reported the Strait of Hormuz was closed again, the narrow waterway that transits roughly 20% of the world's oil. But the White House disputed that as well.
What they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely.
Late tonight, Iran announced it's now directing ships to use alternative routes through the strait, citing the risk of sea mines in the main channel. Last month, U.S. officials told CBS News that there were at least a dozen underwater mines planted by Iran in the strait. Meanwhile, oil markets embraced the ceasefire news, with crude oil dropping below $100 a barrel. However, prices remain about 30% higher than before the war started. And that could mean higher gas prices lasting for a bit longer.
Typically, when the price of crude oil falls, gasoline follows, but with a pretty long lag, often 3 or 4 weeks.
Back here at home, House Democrats will try to pass a war powers resolution tomorrow to rein in the president's ability to strike Iran. Senate Democrats hope to follow next week. Meantime, the vice president will lead the U.S. negotiating team in Islamabad, Pakistan on Saturday as both sides work to figure out if this ceasefire can actually hold. Pat?
All right.
Yeah, we're back. And as you can see, again, they struck civilians, you all. And they know what they're doing. You see how the vice president trying to be so flippant, J.D. Vance being so flippant. He knows what they tried to do. A backdoor deal, a double cross, and now it's literally blown up in their face. What they're not showing is the retaliation that Iran has been launching on Israel in particular. And where on earth is Benjamin Netanyahu? They got him. But we're going to move on. The bottom line is, this double cross has now opened the door to World War III. We're now in it. We haven't seen nothing just yet. All right? And we better get ready. I'm making no qualms about saying that. We better get ready because it's really about to get ugly. And also, what's about to transpire here, you better get ready for it as well. We done showed you a great many people who are very unhappy in this country. And this illegal war, man, let's continue to show you what the evidence versus me saying it. Take it away, Seventh Answer. Now, I don't know where that location was, but as you can see, those are all civilian sites, y'all. Homes. Okay? This thing is really heating up. And I'm going to say this with all solemnity and seriousness. The seventh answer and myself, we're all advising you all, we all have to get ready now. Embrace ourselves. Belt tightening, toughening up, because what's about to land here? The eruption that's going to land here. Make no mistake, it's coming. You cannot do these types of atrocities and evils and don't think that the people that you hurt are not going to come for your people and come for your land. Let's not forget that we have Israel, not only do we have Israelis living here in America, you have people of other nations, including Iranian, Tibetans. You have East Indians, Pakistanis, and a whole host of other people living here. China, Russia, they are living here. And here you are, America, attacking civilians. In accord, the word accord, for those who may not know, means in agreement with Israel. And what make you think that that was a good idea, considering the fact this society is a melting pot of different societies? Those same people you hitting over there have people here living here. Anyway, let's continue on with the video evidence, producing our cause, and bringing forth our strong pieces of evidence. Lion's Den, the conversation continues. Take it away, seventh answer.
Do you want to know how I know that Donald Trump had a very, very bad day today? Because tonight, just about 24 hours after he announced a ceasefire with Iran, he wasn't posting about his ceasefire with Iran. Nope, he was posting about NATO and Greenland in all caps. And I will tell you, I mean, posts about NATO and Greenland in all caps are kind of a dead giveaway that things are not going well elsewhere. And yes, in what is perhaps the least surprising turn of events, Trump's big 2-week ceasefire deal with Iran is kind of falling apart. And why is it not surprising? It's not surprising to me at all. Because despite all the claims that the US and Iran had come to some sort of a historic ceasefire, as they shouted it from the rooftops last night, it seemed like they never actually agreed on the basic parameters for negotiating the biggest issues. I mean, they never agreed on how the Strait of Hormuz would reopen and whether Iran would continue to control it. They never agreed on whether or not the ceasefire included Lebanon. They never agreed on whether or not Iran having the right to enrich uranium as part of their nuclear program was even on the table. None of that was apparently nailed down before this deal was announced last night. And so today, it all fell apart. Not surprising at all. Iran's Fars news agency reported that the Strait of Hormuz has been reclosed over Israel's continued strikes in Lebanon. Bloomberg reports that just 3 ships actually made it through the strait. Before the war, 135 ships sailed through there every single day, just to give you a sense of the context there. And Iran is reportedly hoping to extract payment from ships for safe passage, a real boon for Iran, something they have already been doing. Throughout the day, Iran continued to fire missiles at our Gulf allies in the region. And by this afternoon, the Speaker of Iran's parliament had accused the United States of violating the agreement altogether, saying, quote, "In such a situation, a bilateral ceasefire or negotiations is unreasonable." So, everyone, less than 24 hours later, other than that, everything seems to be going great. Now, on the question of what Donald Trump has actually achieved in this war of choice that he is now desperately and unsuccessfully trying to unwind, well, all Trump needed to do, and I bet he was doing this, we know his TV habits was turn on his favorite Fox morning show today to know that he has achieved basically nothing.
The president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal.
That was on Fox this morning. They had graphics. He prepared what he was going to say there, and it was definitely not a ringing endorsement. So Trump hasn't achieved much of anything, and his deal to end this disastrous war appears to also be in tatters already. But if you just listen to the Trump administration or their allies in that universe of MAGA land, you would think that Trump got everything he wanted and it was just all about to end. Time to roll out the mission accomplished banner. Trump literally told a French news outlet that the deal was a, quote, total and complete victory. And Secretary of Maximum Lethality, Pete Hegseth, took his own victory lap in a very Pete Hegsethian way.
Music is one of the best ways to express your feelings. And that's why today we're going
Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory.
And then he dropped to the ground and did 20 push-ups and kissed his muscles. Not really. I mean, just metaphorically. He thought about it. I think he thought about it. When things aren't going well, all you can do is pound your chest and claim victory with a capital V, as Pete Hegseth just did. Or you can do whatever the hell this is.
Democrats are already saying that this is taco. Trump always chickens out. Let me give you another acronym. Nacho. Never avoids confronting hard obstacles.
Okay. Griff there, that's his name, Griff, was probably so proud of himself when he wrote that down this morning in big block letters and practiced it in the mirror. But the fact is, as the day rolled on, it became harder and harder and harder to deny the reality that this deal was falling apart. That became abundantly clear when reporters caught up with the Trump administration's highest-ranking negotiator by their own definition in these peace talks, Vice President J.D. Vance. Here he was today being asked a very valid question about when the strait would reopen.
Mr. Vice President, Iran is continuing to block the Straits of Hormuz. Do you have an expectation of when that strait is going to be open?
Well, we've already seen an increase in traffic today. Hopefully we'll see an increase in traffic tomorrow. We actually think that we are seeing signs that the Straits is starting to reopen.
Okay. So we've seen an increase in traffic today. That's what the Vice President just said. As I mentioned before, Bloomberg reports that just 3 ships were observed leaving the region, at least 2 of which had ties to Iran. Iran is publicly claiming that the strait remains closed. They're continuing, as far as we know, to charge fees to people who want to go through. But J.D. Vance says nothing to worry about. All signs are positive. Then he was asked another perfectly valid question from a reporter about Iran's claim that the U.S. has already violated the agreement.
Tweeted out that 3 of the 10 points in the ceasefire framework have already been violated. They're distrustful of the U.S. What do you make of him tweeting that out before negotiation?
So I thought it was interesting, actually, because I did see that tweet from Ghalibaf actually just a couple of minutes ago. Let me just say this. I actually wonder how good he is at understanding English, because there are things that he said that, frankly, didn't make sense in the context of the negotiations that we've had.
Okay, so just to unpack that one. The Speaker of Iran's parliament said that the U.S. violated the deal, and J.D. Vance's answer was, well, he just needs to brush up on his English. Maybe it was a translation issue. Again, J.D. Vance is the official who is supposed to sit across from the Iranians in these negotiations in just a few days. Now, if you thought that was a reach, just listen to how J.D. Vance tried to explain away the differences between Iran and the U.S. on the question of nuclear enrichment.
The second thing Ghalibaf said, which again I found fascinating, is he said, we refuse to give up the right to enrichment. And I thought to myself, you know what? My wife has the right to skydive, but she doesn't jump out of an airplane because she and I have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane.
I have so many questions. Like, what on earth are you talking about? Also, are you saying that you trust the Iranians won't enrich uranium even if they have access, just like you trust your wife won't jump out of a plane? I still don't think it clears anything up. I don't know where that came from. Now, all of this is even more concerning when you consider that J.D. Vance is supposed to be the one voice in the room who actually opposes the war. But as the New York Times reported last night, Vance is apparently too timid to actually do anything about it, aside from, of course, pitch stories about how he privately opposed the war, which he seems to be doing a lot of. When Trump was weighing whether or not to launch this disastrous war, Vance reportedly told the president, you know, I think this is a bad idea, but if you want to do it, I'll support you. Way to be bold. Use your voice there, JD. That's the extent, as far as we know, of the pushback Trump has gotten from some of his closest advisors as he continues to make one bad decision after another in this conflict. And it's a stark contrast to the kind of pushback Trump reportedly got during his first administration when contemplating military action in Iran. In his book, legendary journalist, sitting right across from me right now, Bob Woodward, recounted some of the debates Trump had with his first-term advisors on the subject of striking Iran. And he wrote, quote, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley went back and forth like a tag team, underscoring the reasons not to take any military action. Vice President Pence and Acting Defense Secretary Miller seemed to agree that no military action should be taken. Okay, thanks, Trump said. As Milley once said to an advisor, the whole Iran thing comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes. CIA Director Gina Haspel was worried about the lack of a clear decision and called Milley. This is a highly dangerous situation. We're going to lash out for his ego? And later that night, Pompeo called Milley, thanked him for arguing against the strike and emphasizing the downsides. We're all good, Milley said, emphasizing the importance of calm and piling on the metaphors. Just steady, breathe through our noses. Steady as a rock. We're going to land this plane safely. We've got a plane with 4 engines and 3 of them are out. We've got no landing gear, but we're going to land this plane and we're going to land it safely. No one is planning to land the plane safely. Everyone in Trump 2.0, or most people, at least that we know about, just seem along for the ride. And now the same people who let Trump get us into this war are bungling their best opportunity to get us out of it.
Okay. And there you have it. The incompetence, the arrogance is astounding. The pride. Our mission is accomplished. We've won. No, you did not win. How you won, Peter Hegseth, if we're still in a conflict? But what I want to do now, seventh answer, is switch gears for the last remaining half an hour. I think that we've driven the point home on this issue. For all the naysayers out there, we rest our case. And for all those who are true believers and understand our mission and know what we do, we rest our case. But now, do you recall in one of our previous conversations, my fellow conversationalists or our fellow conversationalists, where we talked about the robots are coming? We talked about Peter Thiel, a multi-billionaire who has all kinds of artificial intelligence contracts, surveillance, spying, robotics, technology, and all that. Well, what I want to do is show you a few videos. All right. And we want you to be the judge. The seventh answer, and I want you to be the judge, because there's some of you out there still, oh, they're reaching conspiracy theories. Oh, boy.
We should make that a part 2.
Huh?
I said we should make that a part 2.
Well, okay, seventh answer. How about this?
In a 3-hour mark.
I know. So how about this? Can we give them a prelude, please? Just one. And we'll close it out tonight. And we'll make it a part 2. Not a problem. Let's give them a preview. Okay? See, you thought The Terminator, written by Sophia Stewart, was just a movie? You thought that her work, that which was stolen by James Cameron and so many others back in 1984, the Terminator series, you thought that was just a movie, right? But here we are in 2026. But in 1984, when did Cyberdyne Systems go sentient? Oh yeah, 2029. Artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. You had of course, somehow they blame the black man for everything that happened, and Michael Dyson in the movie Terminator 2 is always a black man who made all that go wrong. But the point is, the machines. Take a real good look at this, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close. Let the video rock out, seventh answer. Ladies and gentlemen, that ain't no AI. That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. And it will not stop until you are absolutely dead. Art imitates life. Let's continue on. Wait, I thought you had one more for me. But anyway, the proof is in the pudding. It's up to you to believe it or not believe it. But the bottom line is we are on our job researching, hunting, bringing out all of this information which is not being shown on mainstream media. So, as you can see, it's coming, y'all. This is what Peter Thiel is into. This is the contracts and surveillance and spying and robotics this dude is into. If you don't know who Peter Thiel is, his last name is spelled Thiel. Look him up. That's your homework assignment. We talked about him and we introduced him in a previous conversation. But as you can see, the technology is ready. And not only, did you see that? Did you anyone y'all catch that? Not only do they have the humanoid, did you see how they unveiled the doggy? Like I said, the seventh answer, Lady Karima and myself, we're dedicated to doing this because, like I said, mainstream media is not showing you all this. We haven't been bought, we won't, and we will not be sold. And unlike other craving cowards out here, it take a lot of heart to do what we're doing. Because freedom of speech in this society here is not so free. But we cannot continue to see all these treasonous and traitorous actions transpire and we don't say anything about it. Because see, we were made to be watchmen. And in Karima's case, watchwoman. We heard the scripture early on that if you see someone about to go headlong into danger, it's up to us to warn them. Give he or she a strong admonition. But if they choose not to listen, once they get hit, whatever happens to them, happens to them and them alone. But there's no blood on your hands. So for all who are watching, whether you believe it or not, whether you choose to accept it or not, all the information that the seventh answer and I provide time and time again is verifiable. All you gotta do is get up off your duff and make the time to look it up for yourself. There's some of you out there, if you choose not to believe what we are showing you, if you still want to live in your bubble of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, if you still want to believe in MAGA, make America great again, despite all the ransacking of the economy and social spending that is transpiring, if you still want to continue to be a pawn in this wretched game, then go on ahead, knock yourself out. But at the start and end of every day, and even at the end of our lives, the lioness and myself, we can hold up our hands front and back, and your blood will not be on our hands because you have been warned, thoroughly warned, absolutely warned. Frequently accurate, correct truths, the facts, warned. And we are now vindicated. So now, to all our fellow conversationalists out there, as we begin to start closing down and winding down, first off, I want to thank all my East Coast night owls riding with me at 2 o'clock, and I guess it's about to be what, midnight in your neck of the woods, seventh answer. If I'm counting right. Either way, right? We thank you for riding with us. Okay? I know for some of you, in the rebroadcast, some of y'all, why can't you guys go on early? I'm gonna say this to you. You'll be surprised at what goes on at night. So to our night owls, we say, hoo, hoo. And to all our riders out there in the rebroadcast, enjoy this conversation. We thank the Lord in Christ from whom all positive thoughts flow. And we're thankful that we are one of the many beacons out there in this great World Wide Web social media federation. Being able to use our talents for the greater good to our children that are listening. As you can see, it pays to be educated. And we want you not to be YNs. Karima and I, we want you all to now strive to be YS, young scholars. To our ladies, to the ladies out there, we don't want you to be bad. Well, the word sounds like twitches. We want you to be bad sisters, and that is in the righteous tip though. Brave sisters, there it is, brave sisters. Okay, not bad, brave sisters. Okay, that's what we want. From here on out, we're gonna make that our mantra from here on out. To our young men, no more YN. Get that out of here. Get the YN up out of here. You are all now going to strive to be YS, young scholars. And to our ladies out there, no more bad twitches. You're going to be brave sisters. That might sound corny to some of you out there, but listen, it's better to be a nerd. It's better to use your intellect and be informed. Being a dummy, it's not cool. Yeah, I see here in this world that there are a lot of shows and so-called reality shows and all that other garbage that you see where they appear to be getting paid. But let me hip you all to something out there. There was a time that yours truly here, I was into an extreme, aspect of life. There was a time that I embraced to the fullest hedonism and bohemianism. If you don't know what those mean, I'll help you. To be hedonistic is to adopt the philosophy that life is all about pleasure at all times, anywhere, any place, any time. No pain, no, time for, hardship. Hedonism was you seek out pleasure to the fullest. But that's not a balanced lifestyle. And at the same time, in the hedonism, turning your eye to certain realities, it wound up being destructive for me. Bohemianism, because now hedonism and bohemianism combine. Now, if you don't know what bohemianism means, it comes from the word bohemian. A bohemian is that individual who doesn't live by law, live by a structure. It is if it feels good, do it. That's what, as a matter of fact, that's what Nike, the term Nike with the just do it, that's where they get that from being bohemian. It encourages, and therefore, not having a structure, not having a law to live by. You know, some people, and that law I'm talking about is the Bible, and most notably. Or if you want to go into societal laws, the do's and don'ts on how to live. You embrace bohemianism, there's a destructiveness that comes with that as well. And I was caught up in that headlong. And I paid a heavy price for it. So that's why I want you babies now, as you're listening, get that YN up out of here and become young scholars. To my ladies out there, become brave sisters. Or you can be brave scholars as well. It don't matter. You can use the words interchangeably. What I'm basically saying is, follow the example that now the seventh answer, Lady Karima. And the reason that she's called the seventh answer is because 7 is a number of completion. And to answer means to what? Give an accountability, to give an account. So she's the complete answer. Her ingenuity, her skills to be the heart and soul of the Lion's Den and other platforms. That's a great thing. In the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter, ladies, it outlines what an industrious woman, a creative woman, an ingenuitive woman does. For you brothers, the Bible outlines what true masculinity is supposed to entail. But if you choose to live outside of that, that's fine. But I'm just laying it out for those, like Christ said, those who are for us, they'll hear us. And those who don't, who are not for us, won't hear us. But the bottom line, it pays to be intelligent. It pays to be informed. And that's why you're able to listen to this magnificent, easy listening, truth-outedly listening experiment and experience. And we hope you're enjoying it. So in other words, what we try to say in so many words, pick up a book, read. Or if you want to use the internet, Google, whatever, it's not just for porn. It's not just for foolishness. All right? We need more voices out here to spread the word. The seventh answer, and we have studied, we have, taken time out to learn in the area of broadcasting, and in her case, she's a woman of many talents to broadcast, to create.
And tired. I'm very sleepy. All right.
So okay. Well, okay. The credits are rolling. So in closing, right? Thank you all for I'm sorry, seventh answer. I got my second win. But okay. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to drop $1 or $2, hit our cash apps, baby, and everything else. And in the spirit of Don Cornelius, On the Hebrew tip, I say to you all, Shalom, peace, Ahab, love, and Napash, soul. Sorry, Seventh Answer.
Yeah.
All right, peace. Peace,
Good
y'all.
night.